Man, this is Deion Dawkins, man, and you're listening to The Scoop on OurScoop.com. You already know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Scoop, the weekly podcast of OurScoop.com, the authority on Temple Athletics. I am OurScoop.com editor John DeCarlo, and we are back to having a full house once again. Kyle Gauss, Ryan Mack, and Colin Schofield are with us this week. Are you guys even aware that we had Declan on the show last week?
I saw his
Twitter.
Yeah.
He posted it somewhere that he was on it. I wasn't able to give it a listen, but I think I have some tall shoes to fill now in honor of his day this week.
Yeah. It's always a lot of chemistry between Kyle and Declan.
I was genuinely excited. That's why if you listen back to the podcast, I say like, oh, I don't want to vocalize it just in case it's not who it was. I was hoping it was Declan, but then like, what if I got all hyped up for Declan and you turn on the camera and it was like Johnny?
Whoa.
Poor Johnny.
Oh. As if he didn't have enough of a chip on his shoulder already.
I'm just saying, like, I've seen Johnny more recently. Okay, that wouldn't be as exciting. That's like when you graduated from high school and then like there'd be like a kid that came back in like September to like check in with the teachers, like, you miss me? Like, no, man, it's been 3 months.
Absence made the heart grow fonder in this case.
My heart was already pretty fond of Declan, but yes.
Well, nonetheless,
My Grinch heart.
your Grinch heart grew 3 sizes that day. Your podcast heart. So we do have a full house again. We've got plenty of stuff to get into. Temple, as we expected, is 2-2 after 4 games following that 45-24 loss at number 18 Georgia Tech. We'll talk about how they got to this point, how we're feeling about the team about a third of the way into the season, entering a bye week and getting ready for conference play. You'll hear part of my interview with new Temple Chief of Staff Andy Allison on the basketball side of things. And we'll get to your mailbag questions as well. We have a lot of them this week, so appreciate you guys chiming in with the mailbag questions. The Scoop, as always, is brought to you by Greenspan and Greenspan Injury Lawyers. If you've been injured while on the road to the highway and the crash was someone else's fault, the insurance company will not be on your side. You need us, Temple grads, who will fight hard to get the compensation that you deserve. We only get paid if we win. So in Pennsylvania or New York, call us today at 215-261-7359. That's 215-261-7359. And you can find them on the web at greenspans-law.com. That's Greenspans with an S -law.com. We will continue to remind you that now is the perfect time to join OurScoop and get access to all of the coverage that we have coming your way, including recruiting information, coverage of the football team, coverage of the men's and women's basketball teams, and more. Join OurScoop now for $1 on your first week and enjoy a complimentary year of The Athletic included with your membership. So pretty good deal to take advantage of. We're getting closer and closer to that time of the year where everything kind of intersects: football, men's and women's hoops, recruiting, signing day. So you don't want to miss out on all the good stuff. How have you guys been otherwise?
Been pretty good. Tired today.
Oh, tired stuff again, Kyle.
Oh
Remember
no.
when Brian
Oh
last night
no.
Kyle?
How much sleep did you get last night?
Like 7-ish hours?
It's more than enough.
Yeah.
If you sleep 7 hours, you're still tired. You got no one to blame but yourself, Ryan.
You're right, Kyle. I'm sorry. My fault.
I found out this weekend, which I guess I should have known, but I didn't realize that Surfsides have the equivalent of 1/3 of a cup of coffee in caffeine.
Oh, really?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, if you go, I mean, I guess it makes sense because it's tea, like it cites tea.
Yeah.
So, like hypothetically, if you killed like 6, 7, 8 Surfsides while watching the birds, you also drank like 2 cups of coffee.
Hypothetically,
I'm just saying, some people might do that.
what was your consumption from the first half to the second half?
I'm a consistent consumer during
Okay.
birds
Yeah.
games.
Okay. I just didn't know if you were drinking more in the second half to deal with any sort of uneasiness or anxiety, or if there were more consumed in the first half when you were like, this is.
I am the definition of the like meme graphic where you see where it's like, I hate this team, they're absolutely awful. Oh, cool, we won. Like, that's me every single Eagles game. I'm overly critical of every single one of them, but in the end, they win.
You're that person, you just don't post it on social media.
Yeah, because I'm a grown man.
I was just going to tip a toe in the water and say, well, if you're
Like,
that person,
maybe
then
if
how
I was
come
like
you were so-
hypothetically like 2011 through 2017 John DeCarlo.
who chose to post it on social media sometimes.
Yeah. Other than Temple sports related tweets, my general philosophy is don't post on social media.
Yeah, it's good practice. All right, let's look back at Temple's 45-24 loss at number 18 Georgia Tech. So a lot of you know by now They spotted Georgia Tech a 21-0 lead before a 2-yard touchdown run from Jay Ducker and a 28-yard touchdown pass from Evan Simon to JoJo Bermudez. That got them back in the game, made it a 21-14 ball game. And then really, I guess you could say the turning point in the game came 4 plays later on that next Georgia Tech possession. So Georgia Tech's got 2nd and 7 from the Temple 49. Allen Hay makes a great play in getting to Haynes King for a sack and a 5-yard loss. That would have put Georgia Tech at 3rd and 12. Problem was Allen Hay pretty obviously grabbed Haynes King's face mask. That negated the sack, gave Georgia Tech 15 yards and a 1st down. Then Malachi Hosley scores on a 34-yard touchdown run. The very next play, that was the first of his 2 rushing touchdowns, and that was part of that stretch that saw Georgia Tech really put the game away with that, scoring the next 17 points unanswered into the 4th quarter. So, if we told you that Temple would hold Haynes King to 8 carries and 15 yards and a rushing touchdown, you probably would have taken that. Now, he lost 18 yards and 15 of those yards on 2 sacks, but Jamal Haynes, Malachi Hosley were more of the problem. Evan Simon, pretty critical of himself after the game, went 13 of 32 passing for 127 yards and the touchdown to JoJo Bermudez. Wound up with 68 rushing yards on 14 carries, looked really good running the ball. But Georgia Tech sacked him twice, both times on 3rd down to snuff out possession, so that was a little tough. So we'll talk a little bit more about Evan Simon's numbers in the mailbag. I think the Oklahoma game was a bit of a different situation where just wasn't getting a whole lot of time to throw. I think he had a little bit more time to throw on Saturday and just didn't hit on some throws that were there. But nonetheless, they're 2-2 heading into a bye week and then conference play against UTSA. So, like I said at the outset of the pod, this is about what we expected. And I think we thought, okay, how they lose, just like we said in the first 2 weeks, how they win these games will start to give us a clearer picture of the team, and then maybe how they lose against Oklahoma and at Georgia Tech might also give us a clearer picture. So they were pretty clearly dominated against Oklahoma. Final score is not pretty against Georgia Tech, but they were able to put some points on the board. How are we feeling after 4 weeks? Kyle, we'll go around the horn here. I'll start with you. How do you feel after watching what you saw on Saturday?
Yeah, about what I would expect. I guess slightly more optimistic than I might have been after the Oklahoma loss. This sounds kind of like, are you talking about 2006 Temple? But like, I feel as if they looked as if they belonged on the field with Georgia Tech, which they did not look that way against Oklahoma. Like Oklahoma, there was a very big difference in just sheer talent. With Georgia Tech, it was, they made some mistakes. Allen Hay has a timely face mask. Honestly, Evan Simon should have had like 2 passes picked off that didn't get picked off. Like there was a bunch of plays where you're like, okay, they're just not playing well. Jumping off sides on the short, 2nd or 3rd down. Those are fixable, right? Like you can't overcome a sheer huge talent gap in 1 week or over a bye week. You can tighten up some things over a bye week that are penalty related or scheme related. I am a little concerned about the rush defense. I mean, I think you've seen every team be able to run the ball against them so far this year. Which I don't think we're going to get into UTSA that much this week, but that is a big problem against UTSA if you can't stop the run. But yeah, I mean, I think this offense has shown that it can work in similar to slightly disadvantaged situations. Because I mean, they didn't have as much talent as Georgia Tech, and they were still able to, other than the last play giving up 60 yards on a run, if you take that out of the equation, they pretty much got just as many yards as Georgia Tech. The defense was dominant for a 1.5 stretch. The offense was able to move the ball. There was definitely wide open passes that Simon left open. So I'm more optimistic that they can fix those things than I would have been if they had given the same type of effort and result in this game as they had against Oklahoma.
What about you, Ryan? How are you feeling after 4 games?
I'm feeling pretty good, pretty optimistic about it. I think probably for me, like the biggest, I don't want to say like red flag or just like concern for me, it's probably been the offensive line. And you really, really saw it after these 2 games against Georgia Tech and Oklahoma, especially Georgia Tech. Evan Simon was getting like harassed in the pocket, like as soon as the ball was snapped, like especially down when they were at the back of when they were backed up to their own end zone. As soon as he snapped it, felt like they was currently constantly getting pressured, mostly on Grayson May, and Jacoby Hills was also getting a couple of times. So that's probably my thing that's been like not so good. But I do think Evan Simon does look good. Obviously his numbers today, I mean on Saturday weren't that great, but because it was on him, some of it was also on that offensive line. He didn't have that much time to get the ball off. Also, they were down very early. You couldn't run the ball as much as they would like to because you're down 21-0 as soon as the game starts, you have to pass the ball to get back into the game. But that's something that I've been really interested in. Also, Jojo Bermuda, someone that was coming in from from UDEL, had injury history. We saw him at summer practice, but there's only so much good you can look at going against like the same people you're going against for the same month. He's looked very good.
Yeah.
Against an FCS school, a low tier FBS school, and then two P4 schools. Like he's looked very good against them. And that's something that's been really, really like good to see. Feels like they lost their top 4 wide receivers last year. They get JoJo back, and he's been able to like make the game a bit of factor on offense, on both offense and on special teams, honestly.
Colin, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both Ryan and Kyle. Like, I feel more optimistic about this team through these first 4 games than, maybe I felt the start of the year, or especially after the Oklahoma game too. I thought they competed really well with Georgia Tech after they kind of got that 21-0 hole out of their heads. Like, I mean, you go down 21-0, it's not easy to win.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of that first quarter, that second quarter, and then the start of that third quarter, like they looked like they belonged, like you said, with Georgia Tech on that football field. I was impressed. I was impressed in parts with Evan Simon. I was really impressed how he used his legs to kind of get the offense going and career high in rushing yards for him. That wasn't on my bingo card for that game, but I thought that was really impressive. I thought even Jay Ducker, when they did run the ball, I didn't think he looked too bad. But I think Ryan said the offensive line was kind of a concern. Again, Evan Simon got pressured a lot. There was the throw, I think, when they were backed up at their own 2 or their own 1, and then they eventually got out of it. But I think Evan's first throw, he was nearly sacked for his safety, and he threw an interception because he got pressured in a millisecond. So it just kind of plays like that. That's a little bit concerning with the offensive line. But overall, I thought that like the defense, the run defense, definitely is a concern. But I feel like the defense overall as a unit is really meshing well. I thought they played well against Oklahoma as well in pockets. So I'm optimistic about this team for sure through 4 games entering conference play.
One thing that kind of sticks out to me, and again, this is more of like vibes and feels, is in years past when they ran into games like this, whether it was underneath Stan Drain or underneath Rod Carey, they would lose games like this 70-3. Like they were the huge blowout losses, right? And then even at the time, you would say, okay, well, they're competing against an SEC opponent, they're competing against a good ACC team. And then you would look at other teams in the American that might not be good, that might be a 4-win team in the American, and they would look more competitive in those exact same games. Like you would see South Florida obviously win games this year, but in the past they would put up points in these losses, and Temple just never did. And if you want to be super optimistic, just looking at a box score and saying they put up 24 points, and they rushed for 184 yards, and they put up all these yards against a top 25 team on the road is something that this program would not have done over the last 6 years.
Well, just in case listeners don't know, no media availability this week. That's traditionally been the case with bye weeks. I wish we got the chance to, I'm not trying to knock these guys. They deserve a week off from media stuff, but it would have been cool to talk to Casey Keeler and the players and just talk about, okay, what do you do in terms of self-study? How do you feel about the first 4 weeks of the season? I'm in alignment with you guys. The defense, particularly at defensive line, looks encouraging. Guys like Sekou Kroma, even, yes, Alan Hay grabs a face mask, but Haynes King, I don't know that you could see, he wasn't necessarily the huge reason why they lost the game. Obviously, like he takes pressure, you have to pay attention to him and account for him, and that might open up stuff for Georgia Tech's backs. But this defensive line, this defensive front has been able to make some plays. The offensive line is really, really interesting to me because even with a bye, I don't know how much better guys like Luke Watson and Chris Smith and Kevin Terry become in a week, where I would caution people from expecting, not that Jacoby Hill's has been like a huge problem. I think if anybody had a rougher game, it might have been someone like Grayson Maines. Now, I don't know. It's not to say that Chris Smith couldn't push him for snaps, but I think that's an area where, all things considered, it could be worse. But I don't know what that line's going to look like coming into, we'll be able to see this coming Monday's practice, but we don't know. We can reasonably deduce or determine what they're going to be looking at in terms of like self-study. Like, how do we, are we keeping Peter Clark in more? Can Kevin Terry relieve, Jacoby Hills for a few snaps? Is Chris Smith a better option at center? This is all the stuff that they have to figure out this week, but it's not like you're getting a ton of reinforcements there. I don't think that like Davre Vernew is going to come in and really like play like an all conference guard. So the line seems to be an issue, but they're starting to crack away at things. And like Kyle said, a game in the past like this might have gotten really, really out of control. They looked bad at first. They were not competitive, but 21 Georgia Tech points. And then after that, there was that stretch where Temple held Georgia Tech to like -1 yard and no points on 9 plays. That was a response. That was a good response. I don't know that any of us are like uber confident in the secondary and uber confident about the run defense, but all things considered, I guess they're headed in the right direction. We'll see. But as Kyle pointed out, we'll talk more about UTSA next week as we preview the game. And if they don't tighten up that run defense, whether they are, I'm sure we'll probably hear next Monday the term we are misfitting things, we're not gap sound, or, we're losing our gap integrity and stuff like that. We'll learn more about that stuff, but more to come next week. And we'll talk
Stay
about this
tuned
team.
to the scoop next week when we tell you what the UTSA acronym stands for.
No one knows really. It's been
It's
debated,
lost. The Dead Sea Scrolls had
debated by
UTSA.
scholars for years.
Yeah.
It's up to interpretation.
We're looking for Rosetta Stone 2.0 to tell us what it stands for.
Oh my God.
As we tell you each week, if you are subscribed to Owl Scoop, you'll get our recruiting roundup coverage. So a lot of these guys that are committed to Temple are having some pretty good senior seasons. So as long as Temple can get them to stay committed, a lot of guys having promising senior seasons. So if you are not subscribed to Owl Scoop again, you can take advantage of the offer that's out there, $1 for the first week, access to The Athletic, and we'll continue to cover recruiting throughout the year as well. So
Early signing day is like 9 weeks from now or something like that. It's December 3rd.
God, really?
So it's getting there.
Be here before you know it.
Just like a lot of people look forward to Christmas like that. I look forward to an early signing day.
Do you make a list? Check it twice?
No.
No. Santa, I was going to try to say it's like not Santa Claus, Cruton Claus.
Meg told me on September 22nd what she wants for Christmas, which is at this point, if I don't get it, I have nobody to blame but myself. Right? Like she gave me 3 months notice.
Stay tuned next week when Kyle talks about what he's going to get Meg for Christmas.
Stay tuned next week when Kyle forgets that Meg told him on September 22nd, and then like December 3rd is like, crap, what am I going to get Meg for Christmas?
How many teasers can we possibly put into
If
promoting?
you played
next
us
week?
backwards, it started at the same time with Wizard of Oz.
Or that could be a Beatles reference. That's way out. That's way out of line.
It's Dark Side of the Moon though, right? It's Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
Playing backwards is the Paul is dead part.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I pivoted. I weaved into
Paul McCartney is a Beatle.
I am aware.
You may
Colin,
recognize him
Beatles
from
are
other.
banned.
Can you name the other three?
Ooh.
Frustrated.
That is great.
So we've spotted you, Paul McCartney.
I'm really afraid of sounding really, really dumb right now.
I want you to.
It's time to be courageous.
You're in a safe space.
I don't feel like I'm in a safe space.
You would be right.
Was it Robert?
Um,
Robert Plant?
Is one of them John Lennon?
There we
Yeah.
go.
There
Okay,
we go.
two for two.
There we go.
All right.
You got the layups.
No, Jimmy
yeah.
Page is not in the Beatles.
Did he say Jimmy Page or is
No,
that
no,
Joe?
Ryan
Oh.
said no. Jimmy Page is not in the
Okay.
Beatles.
I do not know the other two names off of the top of my head, but if they get said, I will. I think I'll know them.
The first name of one of the guys shares the first name of the first president of the United States.
Oh, what a pull.
Do you know who the first president of the United States?
I don't know what his last name could be.
His last name is the last name of another U.S. president.
Yeah,
He's not gonna get that.
he's not gonna get that.
And
Yes,
George Obama.
His last name is the first name of a safety for the Vikings.
Ooh, that's a good one.
oh, George Harrison.
There we go.
Okay.
And the
What can we
last
do for the other one?
What's that?
Okay. The first name of the other one is going to start at cornerback this week for the Eagles.
Oh,
Really?
Is he actually?
Sounds it.
Oh, oh. His last name is also something you see in the sky at night.
Stars or moon?
Moons. No.
Moon.
Star.
Star.
Star. Take the S off of star.
Star. Cornerback for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He's a Georgia guy. Colin's a Broncos fan. He's not really
No,
locked
I
in
can
on-
do this. It's a Georgia guy.
Yeah, Georgia
Okay.
guy.
Second year player?
You
Third?
think
Third?
Is Keeler or something? Keely Star.
No, what's Keely's last
What's
name?
Keely's last
You
name?
think the
Ringo
fourth
Starr.
member of the
Ringo Starr.
Beatles was named Keely?
Keely Starr. Help a drummer.
I wouldn't have gotten
Steered that
that
yellow
one.
submarine. All right. We might get a lot more shelf life out of this Beatles thing.
I'm trying to listen more. I listened to some last
Trying to access their music.
It's hard.
Don't know where to find it.
He has to go to one of the old Barnes and Nobles that still has the CD player where you can just like put it on and it'll play a
Support
couple
your
tracks.
local
for you.
record stores. You guys heard of the Beatles? Any LPs I can crack into here?
I'm looking for these underground bands. It's called the Beatles.
They play any basement shows around here? All right. Sorry, Colin, we love you. We tease because we love. Ryan does it to be toxic.
Yeah.
Whoa, guys. I do it in a loving manner. Why would it?
He is lovingly stirring the pot.
Oh, 100%. Thank you, Kyle.
Love it.
Kyle, I'm
But-
I'm trying to learn from you. You're being my inspiration.
Oh, there's no love
Oh,
on my
boy.
end.
Kyle's dead inside in that area.
I thought it would make you happy that like you're my inspiration.
What is happiness?
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
All right. As I said at the outset of the show, let's talk a little hoops here. Season's going to be here before we know it. Andy Allison is Adam Fisher's chief of staff, replacing that role that Lynn Greer was in. So had the chance to talk to Andy. If you are an Owl Scoop subscriber, you're going to get access to the full interview. And later in the interview, Andy and I talked a little bit more about specific responsibilities pertaining to fundraising, how he is or is not working with the Owl Club, and how he just navigates this whole piece of things. But this is the first part of the interview. So Andy Allison has experience with Duquesne. He spent some time at Memphis under the really, really good years with John Calipari when they had Derrick Rose, DeJuan Wagner. Yeah, so he spent time under Derek Kellogg. So he's sort of part of that John Calipari coaching tree. We talked about the blending of coaching trees on the staff. So he has the basketball acumen, but a lot of what he's going to be doing too is, again, engaging donors, engaging corporate donors or potential donors. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. Again, the full interview will be available to owlscoop.com subscribers later on in the week. But here's the first part of my conversation with Temple men's basketball chief of staff, Andy Allison, and then we'll have more for you on the other side, including On Around the State with Colin, Don't Call Me Paul McCartney, Schofield, and then we'll get into a pretty full mailbag that's going to take up a good portion of the second half of the show. Appreciate all those questions. So here's Andy Allison.
Andy, tell me how this came together with Adam and just how you ended up here at Temple.
Well, I've known Adam for a few years, obviously just being around coaching, and we were discussing something else, and he came up with the opportunity that might arise here at Temple, and obviously, Temple with its brand and its presence in Philadelphia, it was kind of a no-brainer for me to connect, and knowing a few guys on the staff, I think anytime you can work with great people, great institution, in a great city, it's really a no-brainer.
How did he explain to you what he wants from you in this role? I mean, you obviously have the basketball piece of it. You've been a coach for a long time, but in the chief of staff role, how would you explain that to a fan, and how would you explain how Adam explained it to you?
Well, I think there's obviously the landscape of college athletics is shifting, and we're in an environment that's starting to steady out a little bit, but still pretty turbulent. So, anytime I can take some stuff off Adam's plate and the rest of the staff's plate, make their jobs a little easier, that's my main goal. And then branching out, obviously, NIL and handling a lot of those issues and those opportunities that arise is something I'm going to concentrate on, as well as helping out with the other big thing in college athletics, the transfer portal and watching film and stuff like that is on the players that could possibly enter that dynamic.
What have the first several weeks been like so far?
Oh, it's been great. I'm trying to hit the ground running, but still trying to get a lay of the land and a feel. Each place I've been, things are done a little differently. And again, with that NIL space shifting and all that constantly changing, just trying to get a grip on that and what opportunities we can bring and potentially help our student athletes with those opportunities.
Yeah, as you've been saying, a big part of this job is going to be NIL opportunities, rev share, fundraising, but you're a basketball coach too. I mean, again, you guys haven't gotten into the full preseason practices yet. What's your early impression of what you've seen from the guys, either just on the court and workouts or how they carry themselves around the building too?
Oh, yeah. I mean, being around the guys are great guys, and they're fun to be around. I think we're still in an early phase, like we were talking about. There's constant turnover in today's landscape of college athletics and rosters. And I think these guys are still trying to do the feeling out process as well. We are in preseason workouts, which, they're an hour long. And you can't escape practice when that hour shifts to 3 hours. You could be having a bad hour, and you still got 2 more hours to go of that. So fighting through that is something I'm anxious to see how these guys handle adversity when it gets up against it. But the guys are great to be around. They're hardworking. They're good energy, and there's an issue, a factor that they care about one another. And they care about Temple basketball, and they care about how things are done and done the right way. So that's really positive to see early on in these beginning workouts, understanding that there's still a lot to go. But every team I've been around, being able to handle the adversity and fight through that, it's turned out to be pretty well.
You were helping out at Stockton this past year before you got here?
Yeah, so I was at Duquesne, and then Keith Danbrot retired.
Yeah.
And we live in Longport, New Jersey. So I'm good friends with the head coach there, Scott Bittner. And he discussed about helping out, and I did that and finished my master's degree. So,
congratulations.
Thanks. It was a good year.
Yeah.
It was a good year. But yeah, did that and enjoyed that. Again, like I said, I think anytime you can work with good people, it's always fun and beneficial and doesn't feel like work.
Were you doing some of the same things at Duquesne in terms of just basketball and then also fundraising, stuff like that?
Basketball Duquesne was a little bit more basketball centered, and still helping out with Keith's daily stuff and getting stuff off his plate and the portal, but it was a little bit more basketball centered, not so much NIL.
What did that A-10 championship and the tournament appearance mean to you guys? I have a few buddies, close friend of mine that I used to work with in Jersey, my first newspaper job, he's a Duquesne grad, and that run meant so much to him, and that school. What was it like being in the middle of that? Because that was a fun thing from that program, even just from the outside looking in. What was it like for you guys?
I mean, it was special. I think when you're in it, you don't truly get to enjoy it, because I think you're constantly on to the next thing, and how do we get better, and how do we make the guys around us better. So I don't think you truly get to enjoy it. But looking back after the fact, you realize you did something special at a place that's not supposed to happen. It happened for Duquesne a long time, back to back in the 50s. They were a really good program, but it fell off a little bit. And I think we did things the right way and managed the portal the right way, and we got those guys that, like I was talking about earlier, cared about one another, cared about Duquesne basketball, and I think with the time that we had, they came together at the right time, and it was special. And you were happy for the diehards that stuck around for the 50 years, and you saw them cry. And it was a special time, and I was glad I was a small part of it.
One of the cool things is you were part of, obviously, that program, and then at UMass, and they had broken through several years ago. They hadn't been in the tournament in a long time, so you've been part of, again, 2 turnarounds where, getting to the tournaments, everything. What were maybe some of the common denominators there that helped at UMass, helped at Duquesne to get a program back to the NCAA tournament after a long drought? Because that's the goal here. Not as long of a drought here as at UMass and as at Duquesne, but what do you take from that and say, okay, this worked here, and it was just, I think you've touched on some of the stuff already, but what is it that takes it for a team and a program to break through after a while?
It's people. You've got to be centered around the right people, and again, I've said it, it's people that care about other people, and then more importantly, care about the common goal of Temple basketball, of UMass basketball, of Duquesne basketball, and understanding that it's bigger than yourself. And that obviously, is centered around the people that you have around you in your office, on the floor, in the weight room. And I think we have a lot of that here at Temple, and I see a lot of the commonalities that I saw at UMass. I saw it at Duquesne, and even Memphis. Memphis wasn't really Memphis when we got there. So that is the base that I would say everything that it all starts with, and I see a lot of those commonalities.
It's a good transition to my next question here. There's a kind of a cool blend of coaching trees here. Adam Fisher, Michael Huger, Bill Courtney are part of the Jim Larinaga tree. Bobby Jordan worked with Bruiser for so many years, played for him. Bruiser's part of the John Calipari tree, and Derek Kellogg, which you're a part of. Going even just back to being a GA for John Calipari at Memphis, what are the things that you carry from being around him and his success? And I mean, that was an electric time for that program, the way he energized things there.
Yeah, I was Memphis 2 years as a GA, and then I went back 4 more years full time when we were really kind of in the swing of things. And Cal and DK are very similar. Energy, loyalty, integrity, and they're more straightforward. They say what they're going to do and they do it. They follow through. And I just think that those times, both UMass and Memphis, we had the right leader in place that had a vision, had a plan for that vision, and we executed that vision. And everybody in part of that vision knew their role, how to do their role, and maybe even how to step out of their role to help other people to make their role easier. So I do think that those are the commonalities with those programs and the vision of those programs.
You're there during DeJuan Wagner, Derrick Rose, right? I mean, what was it like just being around those guys that, again, like the jolt of energy that brought to the program at the time?
Yeah, I mean, Wani obviously was there my first 2 years as a GA, and then there was already energy. We went back-to-back Elite Eights, and we had the nucleus of our team coming in. Just Derrick Rose becoming a part of that group just kind of put it like, okay, now we got something to put us over to the next level. And there was excitement from the beginning of that year all the way through. But again, we went 38-2, and we didn't play a cupcake schedule. Now, the conference was a little different, but we balanced it out in the non-conference of who we played. And to go through that gamut, and those guys never lose faith in one another, and I keep going back to it, but I really believe that the people and how you treat each other is a foundation block that's been around every program I've been around. And to watch those guys do that with those expectations on them, I mean, was impressive because they never wavered. They never stepped out of who they were, and they truly cared about one another.
I'm sure you maybe get this question a lot. Is it harder to do that in 2025 with, I know it sounds cliche, but social media, just more distractions? The game is different. Young men, young student athletes are different. Not that there weren't issues that guys were going through back in the early 2000s, but is it harder to blend chemistry with rosters changing, or is it some of it's the same core principles?
I mean, I think the core principles are the same, but it is definitely harder. With the NCAA rules and kids, if you don't find the right one, just being able to pick up and move and quit and on to the next thing, it's tough when your core values are fighting through adversity and handling the circumstances that come at you and fighting through and keep moving on and getting stronger. It's tough. It's still very doable. Obviously, teams are going to do it throughout the year. But it is just another hurdle that, it's college athletics now. We can sit and complain about how it used to be, or we can manage what we have in front of us and deal with it and move on. And that's the way the landscape is right now. So we just got to figure out how to adjust and keep moving on.
Andy, what was your earliest experience with basketball? How did you get into the game?
My dad was a high school basketball coach, so I've been around it since I was a young kid in diapers. And my dad was a high school basketball coach and then an AD. And then I went to Youngstown State University and then was a manager there, and just knew that was the path I wanted to go down, was coaching and always being around the game. So I did that, and the last year there, John Robick came in at Youngstown, who was a UMass guy, and him and Derek were able to help me get on at Memphis. And then I think, you guys talked about my career from there. It's just kind of gone from there.
You were at Youngstown State and also Mount Union, a couple of places where, I mean, I didn't grow up in Ohio, but football's kind of king out there. What was the basketball culture like, and what was it like to really break in the early years in Ohio through places that were sometimes known more for football?
Yeah, now Mount Union was a little different. That was a football juggernaut. Yeah. Youngstown was too, with Coach Tressel there, but Coach Peters, who I was there with originally, we kind of got basketball going, and that was the first time I was able to see culture become established. You were doing something at a place that you weren't supposed to do it at. We ended up getting beat in the conference championship by Valparaiso with Bryce Drew, who was the guy that hit the shot against the Ole Miss in the NCAA tournament. But they beat us that year in the conference tournament. That was the first time that Youngstown had been to a conference tournament championship. And then, Coach Robick came in and we had a 20-win season. And unfortunately, one of our best players got hurt and had some problems medically. But to see that culture start and do something in a place you weren't supposed to do, it was where I first saw it and learned it.
As a kid, were you just looking up to your father and saying, yeah, I want to play, but I know that coaching is definitely in my future? And when it gets closer to that time, from high school into college, when did you really lock in and say, this is going to be my life and my profession?
Probably in college. I didn't know if I'd be Division I. I was hoping small college or maybe even high school. That was my career path originally. And then, I would like to credit it to my work ethic and just being around some of those guys. They said, hey, why don't you just try this? And I was lucky enough to start at Division III at Mount Union and then move on to Memphis for 2 years as a GA and then bounce around Western Kentucky for a year and then back to Memphis full-time for 4 years. So, that was it just happened. I don't want to say I just was sitting in college and saying I wanted to be a Division I head coach. I didn't know I wanted to be around basketball because it wasn't work to me. I liked being able to help kids and, whether it was in teaching in high school and getting them into college or when they're in college, helping them figure out life and, start a family. And, that kind of just happened. I wouldn't say I was set out on being a Division I coach.
Tell me about your family, too, because they're always the unsung heroes in all of this. This is not a job where if you're fortunate to stay at one place for 20 years, great, but you have to move around a lot and it takes some sacrifice. How have you managed that piece of it?
Oh, my wife's been great. She's just like, do what you want to do. And she just comes along, she's there and she's not even really a basketball girl. She's more hockey's her sport. And, but she tolerates for me and I couldn't ask for a better wife. So I've been very lucky there.
How'd you guys meet?
Well, so we lived in the same neighborhood in Memphis. She was working for the casinos. She was director of marketing for Caesars Entertainment, and I was coaching at Memphis. Okay. So we met in the same neighborhood. We lived in the same neighborhood and had common friends and just met through friends.
Right. Thank you to Andy Allison for spending some time with me this week. As I said before, Owl Scoop subscribers will get access to the full interview, so keep an eye out for that later on this week. Colin, you're back.
I'm back.
On around this date.
As Ryan gives me a thumbs
Ryan
down.
gave you a thumbs down. I said you were toxic. You said no, and you just gave your buddy, your coworker, your Inquirer coworker, your Temple News coworker, your Owl Scoop coworker, your roommate, your best friend.
My best
I imagine you guys, once you get married, you'll be in each other's weddings, and you just gave him a thumbs down.
If I'm not, I'm gonna cry.
All I'm saying, Colin, when you give layups, keep in mind that I actually read your article in Temple News this morning. So,
which one, Kyle?
The one about Randy Carl.
I see.
I also read your article in the Temple News.
Very well done.
You had no choice but to read it.
I had.
At the risk of having another Andy Carl mentioned here on the scoop.
Who?
I don't know. No, but very well done.
Thank you.
Story on Andy Carl and his NIL class at Temple. So you set the scene well. Good stuff.
It's a good class.
Yeah.
An awesome class.
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm back for honor around this date. Declan held the seat down for me last week. As a creator, got to live up to his shoes, and I plan to do so. So I think we have a pretty good stack of birthdays and events here today. Ryan, what would you like to start with?
I'm gonna start with birthdays.
Birthdays.
Bold move giving Ryan the choice here, considering he gave you a thumbs down.
I'll
taking the high road.
I'll take the high. I'll be the bigger man here.
There you go.
Physically, because you are tower over me.
Yeah.
You do tower over me.
I can reach the high road.
Ryan, did you ever miss out on certain roller coasters?
Jesus.
Still does.
Mom, if I stand on my tiptoes. I'm just kidding. I love you, piece of shit. God.
There are no roller coaster birthdays today, but on September 23rd, 1962, this NFL head coach was born in Toledo, Ohio. One former Owl Scoop intern has some pretty strong feelings about this head coach, I'd say.
Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh.
Yeah. Javon is just inconsolable right now about the Ravens.
Probably not feeling much better after last night.
No.
Yeah, I don't imagine he is.
Yeah.
This American-born author was born on September 24th, 1896 in St. Paul, Minnesota. He's the author of I would say, a pretty popular book that is read in a lot of high schools. I don't know if you guys read in high school, but I know I did. But very popular high school reading material.
1896?
F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Yes, but it was very much a high school book back.
Yeah.
Do you remember that scene in Ted? Did you see Ted 2?
Yes, that's what I thought
F?
of.
F. Scott. Why are you saying F. Scott Fitzgerald? I can't say the rest of it.
The final birthday for today. This former running back was born on September 24th, 1973, in Philly. He won the Heisman Trophy in the 90s. I'm not going to say the year.
Eddie George.
Eddie George went to Abington, then Ohio State.
Yeah,
I was going to say I can't say the year because Ryan knows the Heisman Trophy winners like the back of his
No,
hand.
I only know them up to 99.
Yeah, okay.
Oh wait, take that back. Probably like 96.
First,
That practice.
the Zoom just thought John did a thumbs up, so I give a thumbs up. But two, wait, so you know them up till 1996 or like from 2025 back to 96?
I think I can go like confidently. I know I can go from from now to like 299 till when Ron Dane won it.
Dane.
There's a
From
couple.
South Jersey.
There's a
Overbrook
couple.
High
There
School.
might be a couple little spotty ones, but I know that confident. I can go. I can go back
05.
there. 05? That was Reggie.
Oh, wait.
08 was Tebow. No. Oh wait, no.
No.
Was that
That was Bradford, right?
Bradford? Yeah, yeah. And Tebow was 07.
Yeah. Oh, wait,
And then
Bradford.
Troy Smith was 06. And then Troy Smith was 06.
Troy Smith. God. Speaking of Ravens.
Wow.
That's
Impressive.
that's impressive. I need you to refine it so you can be like quicker.
No, I get you. No.
Because like
no.
if it's gonna be like your parlor trick, it needs to be like 05 Reggie, boom.
It's a little choppy right now. I'm used to be really, really good at it. I haven't been able to do it as much. The one I'm really, really good at is the Super Bowl champs from Super Bowl 1 to now. That one I can
Wow.
get easy.
Okay.
That one's really cool.
That's good. I like when people can do that. You give them any date in history and they can tell you what day of the week it was because it's just the math formula in your
Dear
head.
God. Wow.
So like I like that, and
Ooh.
that's one of the things that like once a year I'm like I'm gonna learn how to do that, and I never actually do that.
Wow. I didn't know people were able to
Yeah,
do that on command. That's impressive.
That's insane.
That's fantastic.
it's based upon like a date in the 1800s, you know what day of the week that was, and then you can like do the math from there. But like they can do it, they can do it in their heads. There was also a subplot of Malcolm in the Middle. If you ever watched Malcolm in the Middle,
I haven't thought about that show or watched it in
it's coming back.
years.
They're doing a remake.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think they're doing like a 6 episode thing on Disney Plus.
Huh.
I know this because Frankie Muniz has been all in my algorithm lately.
Mhm.
Colin, what do we have for events?
Moving over to events. Good job with birthdays, guys. Ryan didn't let me finish my sentence for the Heisman Trophy one,
Jeez.
but
I'm sorry.
it's okay. I expected you to get that one. The first event I have is this famous movie was released on September 23rd, 1994, starring Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman.
Oh,
Shawshank
Okay.
Redemption.
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption. I've never seen it. I know it's
Really?
I've never
Shawshank
seen it.
rules.
No.
It's a great
Yeah.
movie.
I know.
Yeah.
It's all I've ever heard, but much like my not distaste, but lack of knowledge for music, it applies somewhat to movies as well.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
partially why I was staring out the window every time Jason did on around this date because he was a big movie user or actor.
You're staring out the window now.
I always stare out the window.
You're saying that we're not entertaining enough for you?
That's not what I'm saying. It's my event right now.
This is my show. I'm Barry Gibb. This is the Barry Gibb Talk Show. This is my show.
All right, next event on September 24th, 1992, this MLB pitcher made its MLB debut for the Dodgers. However, I don't think he's very much remembered as a Los Angeles Dodger.
Mike Piazza?
Not Mike Piazza.
You said a pitcher?
Pitcher.
Oh,
19
pitcher. I'm sorry. Pitcher in
1992 debut with the
Oh.
Dodgers.
Pedro?
Pedro Martinez.
Yeah.
Good job,
Wow.
Kyle. Good guess.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I think I go Red Sox and Expos.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Reds. Yeah, same for me. And my final event is on September 23rd, 2009. This popular sitcom premiered starring Ed O'Neill and Julie Bowens.
Modern Family.
Yeah.
That is not the first time Modern Family has been the answer to.
Yeah, we
Modern
had a
Family.
Modern Family
Yeah.
question, what, month ago? Maybe
It
a
was
few
probably
weeks ago?
like I think Ed O'Neill was the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's from Youngstown, right?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
went to Youngstown State. He
Yeah.
played at Youngstown State.
I have seen Modern.
Andy Allison, Youngstown State.
Youngstown State mascot is the
Penguins.
Penguins. What former Nebraska head coach coached at Youngstown State
When?
after Nebraska? This would have
After
been
Nebraska?
like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Head coach? of
I'll tell you,
Nebraska? Or not
his
head-
nickname is 9-4. Bo Pelini.
Oh, Bo.
Oh, I was thinking of basketball.
Bo Pelini, the Twitter account, every September 4th will tweet for the last time, please stop calling this Bo Pelini Day. It says 9-4.
But that is everything I had for On Around the State.
Good job, Colin. Hopefully Ryan won't give you a thumbs down next week.
Hopefully I'm more well received next
Yeah.
week.
You did great.
You're
That
just
didn't
saying
sound
that, Ryan, but
convincing.
Thank you.
Oh no, I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
All right.
I think we're gonna start doing a segment of like the re-education of Lauryn Hill. We're gonna do like the re-education of Colin, where we just give him like book reports every like between next week. I need you to
At
watch this movie,
once.
or I need you to listen to this, or like it's kind of like if somebody. Do you remember in I don't know if you've seen the Avengers or anything like that, when Captain America comes out of the ice, they give him a list of things like these are references you should look into in the last 60 years, 70 years. That's gonna be you.
You know, I respect that. For listeners, I'm probably very culturally like not clued in on a lot of stuff. So that might be best for me to see a lot of popular movies or finally listen to the Beatles.
For every like 8 things we give you, Ryan and I will come up together for a 9th, which is just fake history, and we'll see how long it takes you to realize that we just gave you fake stuff.
Yes. Oh my God.
Like,
Yeah,
no,
that'd be
this
me.
one you're not going to find online. You need to go to the library, okay? They've been trying to suppress this information.
One year there was an October 32nd. Sounds unlikely, but it's true.
Well, there was an October when there was only like 13 days one year. Talked about this. I think I've talked about this on the Scoop. They had to reset the Gregorian calendar. So one year, the Pope just said there's only 13 days in October this year.
That'll put us a little closer to Christmas.
Yeah, well, then that would make my forgetting Meg's gift that much worse.
Yes. Put us closer to Thanksgiving. Put us closer to would skip Halloween. Be tough.
We've had the Halloween decorations out for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, Meg is a big fall person.
Yes, Meg's a fall person.
Yeah.
Also, I found chipmunks in my front garden, like, and they burrow like groundhogs. They have 2
Yeah.
holes. I think I'm gonna have to flood out chipmunk.
Oh
hole.
no.
Like, how else am I gonna get rid of them?
I don't know. Chelsea and I are seeing Sebastian Maniscalco this weekend in Atlantic City, and he has a joke, like a similar joke about how his father would get rid of like rabbits and stuff in the garden by putting gasoline or something like on sandwiches and bread just to kill them. I hope.
Yeah, like there's no good way to do it because otherwise they'll
Oh,
just
boy.
come back.
Hmm.
So it might be Titanic time for the chipmunks.
Oh boy.
Chip and Dale fighting over a door floating in the North Atlantic.
All right, as he does each week, Mike Greenspan of Greenspan and Greenspan Injury Lawyers provides a weekly tip to keep you safe on the roads and in life. This week, Mike is simply wishing everyone a happy Rosh Hashanah, happy New Year. And so he has that message for you all as we wish our Jewish listeners happy New Year. So we'll hear from Mike really quickly before we jump into the mailbag.
Hey, Temple fans. On this Rosh Hashanah, from our family to yours, we wish you a happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year.
All right, first question here to lead us off in the mailbag comes from the screen name TU1834 from our Scoop message boards. What are you seeing at the start of games that is leading to such slow starts? I'll say this really quickly and then I'll get out of the way for you guys. I think that might apply more to the Georgia Tech game than it does the Oklahoma game. It's the easy answer is step up in competition. And slow starts offensively were just Evan Simon didn't have a lot of time to throw, and Temple's offensive line couldn't handle Oklahoma's defensive front. I think you can talk more about the slow starts in the Georgia Tech game, but what do you guys think of this? Kyle, what do you think? What's leading to this? What led to a slow start? Evan Simon talked about it, put a lot of it on his own shoulders. What do you think led to the slow start on Saturday at Georgia Tech?
I'll kind of take the same cop as you. I think the easy answer is the step up in competition. I think it took a moment of, it was a little bit different. Like the Oklahoma game, I think you saw just immediate, like the offensive line is not going to be able to really like do much against this team. I kind of put a little bit more on Evan Simon the first quarter against Georgia Tech than I do against Oklahoma. I mean, he starts off the game by missing JoJo Bermudez on a pretty wide open seam, which I'm not saying all of a sudden they would have won 45-24 if he'd hit that, but at least that like keeps you on schedule, to use the cliche. I think it's just a little bit of like this team's still learning how to play together. Like it's today's football where you're bringing in 70 people every offseason and they're trying to figure this out. And I'm always really hesitant to buy into like this position group so much better than it was last year because they look so good in practice because you never know if like the corresponding group is just awful. So I think they're just like they're realizing they're playing against tougher competition. They're still coming together. I'm not ready to call that a trend yet after two gimme games and 2 games against power forward competition. But if it continues against UTSA, then that's the type of team that they're going to run the ball so much that if you fall down 21-0, they might just squeeze you to death after that with runs. So
Yeah. Next one comes from the screening Temple fan. Al, has Temple had the hardest schedule in the American so far?
no.
No.
South Florida has played started off the season with 3 straight top 25 teams.
Yeah.
They did Boise State, Florida, and Miami.
Yeah.
So even beyond them, though, I mean, if you're going just upon like metrics, Tulane's played what they played 3 Power 4 teams. Like Temple's definitely in like the upper half. Like they could have gone like the gimme route of Charlotte or Navy or somebody where you're just playing against like bad teams, but no, they did not have the tough schedule.
And piggybacking off of Kyle there, South Florida, 2 of those P4 those top 25 schools were on the road.
Yeah.
You got to play Miami at Miami. You got to play Florida in Gainesville. Even if Florida's not that good this year, you're still playing them in Gainesville.
Yeah.
That's still a tough environment anytime.
Screen name Mana Cart here with 3 questions. Where does Temple rank in the American Athletic Conference with revenue share? Is anyone tracking the correlation between revenue share and winning percentage? Excluding the service academies, can Temple beat any team that has a greater revenue share? I mean, we've consistently heard bottom third in the league.
Yeah, we've heard that. I mean, the first questions are we're just honestly we're gonna be guessing. Like, yeah, like it said,
because nobody
these aren't
really,
it's not publicly, it's not public info. We know that everybody that's in the American outside of service academies has committed to the minimum threshold.
right.
We know that from talking to people at Temple's probably in the bottom third. That last question though, of like, is there excluding the service academies, can Temple beat any team that has a greater revenue share? Every single team that they played in basketball last year that they beat.
Yeah.
Like in conference, right? Like in football, yeah, they can absolutely. I don't want to paint the picture that Temple's flush with money and all of a sudden can go and give people and retain things, but I also am hesitant to give them the cop out of like we can't beat these teams because they pay $3 million more. Like I think they're at least within spitting distance or in the same ballroom as some of these teams in the American that they absolutely can and should beat. Like again, also I know they've lost 2 in a row. They're not going to be underdogs in the final 8 games. Like there's teams if they don't beat Charlotte, that has nothing to do with rev share. That has to do with you just crapped the bed against Charlotte. So yeah, there will be games where Temple is favored.
Can I ask you a question? What does it look like when Temple is in the same ballroom as another program as opposed to the same ballpark?
But it's close to that ballpark. Have you been? Did they let you outside your bubble? Have you been inside a ballroom? Like,
you know that if I had said the same ballroom, you would have.
Look, there's 136 FBS programs or whatever. If you put that in a ballpark, you might as well just like you're not even in the same vicinity, right? Like I could be in section 110, you could be getting nachos, you could be having bowel problems over in section 403. I put you in the same ballroom, 136 of you, you're seeing each other.
Maybe we're even dancing together.
Oh,
no.
How dare you? You just insulted me. You think you're going to dance with me?
Anyway, question number 2 from Manacart. Single digits. How close are we to getting another single digit? Several single digits have yet to honor the tradition with their play on the field. Provide an analysis of how Keeler's spin on the tradition has gone to date. I don't think all the single digits have played poorly. I think we could say that Dante Atten. I don't know that Dante Atten became a single digit because they thought he was the best punter in the country. Now, obviously, punted quite poorly against Oklahoma. I think Sekou Chroma has lived up to it. Colin Chase hasn't seen quite the number of targets that JoJo Bermudez has. I think some of that might be matchup based. Again, we're 4 games into the season. I think Evan Simon, look, you won the starting quarterback job. You played really well in the first couple of games. Again, I think there's a lot that he has to clean up from the Georgia Tech game, but I wouldn't say that he's yet to honor the tradition with his play on the field. I don't think he's been a disappointment as a quarterback. I think there are other things that have to go well around him. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this one?
I also don't necessarily buy the logic of, or not logic. I guess it never registered to me that this was like a spin that Keeler had on his take on it. They haven't had a full set of single digits since like 2019. Like they've always left open spots for like at least always me in the last 6 years. to like kind of incentivize like anybody could get this.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that doesn't surprise me, I guess. And they've
Yeah.
taken them away mid-season.
I don't know that again, with no media availability this week, I would venture to guess if I'm going to take an educated guess, I don't know that they're any closer. I can't imagine that they're going to take the field against UTSA or that we're going to be talking to Casey Keeler on Monday and he's going to announce a couple more single digits, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
I
But
guess, has there been anybody that's not a single digit based on their play that you'd say, okay, that guy stood out to the point that they're in the conversation? Because like I think we all know the single digits not just on-field performance. A lot of times it's not on-field performance. From sheer on-field performance, like Jay Ducker looks like the best running back and is
yep.
that they've had in a long time, has been able to be productive.
Yeah, I think Jay Ducker might make sense. I kind of feel just again, it's a feel thing and nothing more. I think if you see a player or two added, it might be a couple weeks into conference play, unless there's some sort of narrative about a guy that really convened the team during the bye week and was great in self scouting and stuff like that. But I don't know. Unless, yeah, I could see a Jay Ducker, is Ty Davis, one of those guys. I don't know. Manacart, I don't know what you meant by spin on this, or if you're kind of taking a swipe at the whole thing. I don't think that. I think the Casey Killer's approach has been pretty pragmatic. Like we're not going to give them out to everybody. I think if they had stacked them 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, then you could say like he has a certain spin on it. But his spin has been we're not going to give them out to everybody. So we'll see. Question number 3, offensive line. Is this line capable of controlling the line of scrimmage in conference play? Will they continue to improve? Can Kevin Terry get back on the field when completely healthy? I don't know. You want to work backwards on this one, Kyle? I think Kevin Terry could definitely get back on the field when completely healthy. I mean, Casey Keeler's talked about that. He'd like to rotate a couple guys in, and Kevin Terry, I think, would be your top candidate there, right?
Yeah, and that's I guess him or Luke Watson. But I think it's important to remember that Luke Watson just hasn't played football much in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you kind of like mentioned that. Like they talked a lot in the preseason of we want to like rotate in like 7 guys on this line, all that, and that just hasn't really like played out yet. Like they ran just like the regular offensive line the entire time against Georgia Tech. I mean, to their credit, other than Kevin Terry working back, like they've stayed healthy during that. But I think in an ideal world, like there's only been a set against like a quarter against Howard that they actually rotated in backup offensive linemen. So yeah, I think Kevin Terry absolutely probably has the best bet against that. I'm trying to bring this up before I say it. He's only played left tackle at Temple. So like I'm not sure. Jacoby Hills by no means has played so out of this world that you're like, okay, he's the next Jordan Mailata and all this is going to be great. And he's a 4-year guy, but I don't think he's played poorly enough that you would want to take him off the field yet.
Yeah.
So
I
like,
agree.
I'm curious if Kevin Terry has that flexibility to maybe also slide in at whether it's right tackle or an interior lineman position. Luke Watson does. I mean, he played left tackle as a freshman. They've been playing him a little bit at guard. Like, I don't know.
Does Kevin Terry have the build of an interior lineman, though?
No. I mean, as of right now, I don't think he has the build in the next year.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Next question here comes from the screen name Fig1, a basketball question. Which new player are you guys most excited to see this year? I will go first. Messiah Gilliard. That is Fig1 saying that.
I thought that was you stepping in and just being like, I will go first.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
I'll go first, Kyle. No, that's why I wanted to clarify that. So Fig1 is saying in his question, I'll go first. Gilliard, Messiah Gilliard, the Manhattan transfer. Who are you?
Why don't you go first? Why don't you go first, John?
Well, it's easy to say that I'm excited to see a lot of the new players because most of them are new. I guess I'll go with Darian Ford. He's a guy who Bill Courtney talked about being like, hey, he's a guy who can really make a tangible difference for us as a perimeter defender. He's really strong. He's athletic, like Gavin Griffiths, a former 4-star guy. And maybe he's one of the guys that really finds his home and really settles into a groove here at Temple. But a lot of these guys I'm intrigued to see, even if Aiden Tobiason's not new. Aiden Tobiason's probably gonna be handling the ball a lot more than people might have expected. So that's something new to look forward to. But I'll go with Darian Ford. What about you?
I'm going with Gavin Griffiths. I think it's a situation where just if they're running the offense anything like they did last year, I'm wondering who's going to be in that Steve Settle role. And if you watch film of Gavin Griffiths coming out of high school, coming out like even that stretches at Rutgers, There's times when he can absolutely shoot the ball. And
Yeah.
he has the frame. He's a little smaller than Steve Settle. I mean, I think Steve Settle was a bit of a unicorn at 6'10", 6'11", being able to kind of control the ball like he could. But they're going to need guys in the corner to shoot in this offense. And I think Griffiths kind of has the inside path at that.
Yeah.
Another guy, I mean, I also think CJ Hines is going to have to score a lot of points for this team.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and has experience scoring in the NCAA tournament as well. Another men's basketball question from the screen named The Hick. 3 questions here. Who among the returning players has impressed so far? I mean, they're preseason workouts right now. They're
Right.
not really practicing. I think that people like Bill Courtney and people like Andy Allison would probably tell you that they think that Aiden Tobiasen has a very, very high ceiling. And again, you continue to hear like, hey, he could be on the ball a little bit more. So it's not a situation where we're covering a bunch of open practices and we've had access to a lot of stuff, but I would venture to guess that P's caught some eyes. Is Babatunde Dorodola ready for big minutes? Yeah, he was last year.
He's been playing big minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's already been playing big minutes. And I think that sometimes people were, okay, you get in foul trouble, you get in foul trouble. But I think that people had, I don't want to say that they were irrational in their expectations with him, but I mean, he was ready for big minutes last year. He started and he was playing big minutes if he didn't get into foul trouble. So yeah, I think he's already proven that he's ready for big minutes. I think they'll have more help around him. So yeah, I think he's ready for big minutes. What is the style? Third and final question here from the Hick. What is the style of play envisioned for the squad? What do you think, Kyle? I mean, I think we've kind of talked about this before. What do you think stylistically, how are they going to look?
Yeah, I mean, offensively, I think it's easy, right? Like this is year 3. They shoot threes. Like even last year when Jamal Mashburn Jr. was out, they were still like they finished the season like 60th in the nation in scoring, despite losing like an all-star fringe all-American level player for like the entire second half of the year. I think I really have no concerns about their ability to score points. I think they're going to be able to score points. Defensively is where it starts to be like, okay, what is the envision on this? I think Aiden Tobiasen can be a good on-ball defender. I think Gilliard's obviously a good rebounding guard, Ford's a good defensive player. I'm just kind of curious on, Babatunde Dorodola is a big part of that. Jemai Felt's a good part of this. Of how are they going to defend interiorly, which I don't think we have answers for yet. It's also the season's not for another 6 weeks, so we'll get more. But offensively, I think it's going to be the same. I think Aiden Tobiasen continues to take a big step forward and becomes a dominant part of this offense. I think they're still going to have multiple guys bring the ball up the floor, and I think they're going to shoot threes. I think you could also say that about 250, 160 Division I teams.
A lot of coaches want. I think they'll probably. I think Aiden talked to me when we had him on the scoop back several weeks ago. Probably envisions them sharing the ball a lot more, popping the ball around the perimeter a little bit more. I've had the chance to see that in a couple of workouts that I've seen, but Kyle makes a great point in terms of like interior defense. Can a guy like Jemai Felt stay healthy? And to his credit, he's been able to come back from 2 ACL tears. If he can play and stay healthy and play the way he has been, I mean, he's a huge help on the interior there. Is a guy like Messiah Gilliard going to be the rebounding guard you want him to be? Are Darian Ford and Aiden Tobiasen going to be the perimeter defenders you want them to be? And if all this rings true for them, then yeah, they've got a chance to be a pretty good basketball team.
Well, real quick, just to put a bow on that, I think the strength of this team, taking style out of this, is its depth. Do they have somebody that's necessarily as big of a star as Jamal Mashburn Jr. was? No, but I think they have a lot more proven commodities coming into this team this year than they did coming into last.
Absolutely. 2 more questions to get to here on the mailbag or in the mailbag before we close things out. First one from Colin Harris on Twitter. Back to football. While I appreciate Evan Simon's ball protection so far this year, do you believe that to get wins in the conference, he will have to be willing to push the ball downfield more to receivers, even if that means more interceptions? I think we kind of talked about this before. I think you could apply that to the Georgia Tech game, but Evan Simon's also not calling his own plays. And against Oklahoma, he did not have time to get the ball down the field. So he's got to have the time to do it if the matchups are there and if the game dictates that those opportunities are there. Sure, I still think that this team is at its best when he's getting the ball out of his hands after a couple seconds into space, I still don't think we have seen, I still think that someone like Colin Chase will have better games ahead in conference play. If you take some deep shots, great, but they have to be warranted. I don't know. I wouldn't take lightly, not that you're trying to take lightly here, like, his ball protection. I appreciate his ball protection so far this year. I mean, it's been that has been, again, they're 2-2, no surprises. I would really appreciate the ball protection and the decision
Yeah.
making. As Kyle said, he had a couple passes at Georgia Tech that could have been picked off, but I wouldn't look past that. But he has to have the time, and the calls have to be right on that.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, to that point, we talked about this. Like there was 11 turnovers in the first 3 games last year. Like
Mhm.
that's unbelievably poor football.
Yeah.
And now there's 0 through 4. Do I think they're going to go the entire year without any turnovers? No. To answer the actual question, I think you can make the argument. Like my gut tells me, obviously, like, yes, you want to take more medium to deep shots. You want to keep the defense, all this. I think you can make the argument that in conference play, you have to take less shots downfield. I
Yeah.
think you saw a couple times against Oklahoma, a couple times against Georgia Tech, whether it was Trezworthy or whether they didn't run Colin Chase like against Georgia Tech, but they did against Oklahoma. They tried to do horizontal, just get a mismatch on the edge, get our speed guys in space and see what they can do. And when you're going up against like ACC and SEC defensive backs and linebackers, that's really hard to get like actual production out of. I think against conference level talent, there's going to be times when they're able to just kind of, hey, Therese, get to the edge. Hey, JoJo Bermudez, get to the edge, and let's see what we can do there. But no, to answer, like, obviously, I think they want to take more shots downfield. It's just to, like John said, if you're getting blitz, if you're getting pressure after 1.8 seconds, it's hard sometimes to do. Against Oklahoma, there were times when I'm surprised he got back up off the field. Like,
Yeah.
that's how quickly they got to him and how cleanly they were able to hit him.
Yeah. Final question to close us out here from the screen name Lone Star 2000. With the first third of the season completed, what grades would you give to the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, and of course, the head coach?
It's a good question.
We want to go position by position here, and your grade and my grade. Offensive
Sure.
coordinator, what would you give Tyler Walker?
I'd give him a B. I think you see, like you said, the first 2 weeks you saw exactly what this offense can do. I honestly, if you had told me they were going to put 24 points, 328 yards on the road against the top 25 team, I would have taken that against Georgia Tech. Oklahoma game, I don't think you can give him a real grade on. But all that in back, all that considered, yeah, I'd give him a B.
I would give him a B in like that high end B, like an 85.7, like approaching a B. If you think a B is like a 83 to 86, I'd push him as close to a B plus. I think a lot of what we're seeing makes sense. You can see that guys are getting open. If you don't have time to throw, you don't have time to throw, period. There was a clear talent disparity there. There was a talent disparity against Georgia Tech, but you go down 21-0 and then you can punch back a couple of times. Feels like we've said it 5 million times. We weren't going to see that last year. I think you can see that coaching and scheme has made a difference. So a 2-2 with a tangible difference, I'll put him at like an 85 or close to an 86, a B approaching a B plus. Defensive coordinator, Brian L. Smith, what grade would you give him?
B minus.
Mhm.
I am legitimately concerned about the run defense. And I posted this on our boards yesterday. I haven't broken down enough film to know, like, is that the defensive line's fault? Is that the linebacker's fault? Are they expecting safety help they're not getting? Like, I'm not 100% sure who to put it on for a position group. Unfortunately for Brian L. Smith, they all report up to him. So one way or the other, somewhere in this defense, they are having issues stopping the run. I think on the positive side, I think he's done a good job of generating pressures. I do think like if you look at their just sack stats, you'd be like, okay, like they're okay. They've left a lot of meat on the bone when it comes to sacks. Like against Oklahoma, they were like they should have had 4 or 5 sacks with John Mateer. Instead, they leave with 2. The Allen Hayes sack gets called back. I think Chroma had 2 sacks called back earlier this season for penalties as well. So they've been able to get quarterbacks uncomfortable. So they've excelled in that. The pass coverage has been okay. It's really just teams that have run the ball against them. So I'd give him a B minus.
Yeah, I would put him a B minus too. I think what keeps him out of, in my humble opinion, what keeps him out of like C or C plus territory is, again, the final score is what it is. You still lose that game by several scores at Georgia Tech, but you fall behind 21-0, and then there is that response that happens partially from the offense, and then partially the defense really clamped up at some point. So you have seen the ability that this team have the ability to respond. So I think he deserves some credit there. Special teams coordinator. This is, I mean, I think you know, we know that like in special teams, they have a special teams coach and a specialist for the kicking, but what would you give in terms of special teams coaching?
I'm gonna say B minus entirely because of Carl Harden. I think Carl Harden's been very good. He missed the one field goal, which honestly was right on the money. He was just maybe a yard or two short of a
Yep.
61-yard field goal. I think he's gotten like against Georgia Tech, he had three touchbacks or two touchbacks on three attempts. I think he's been good with kickoffs. Punting's been mediocre to call it that. I mean, the net punting's fine, but a lot of that's just because the way that Dante Atten kicks, they don't really return. Jojo, well, they finally made the switch to JoJo Bermudez, it feels like at times. And I think he's been electric when he's been able to return punts. It was very bad in the beginning with Tyler Stewart. So I'll give him a I'm gonna give him a C plus. I'm gonna give him a C plus just because in the first two or three games, I'm like, why is so and so still going out there? Why haven't you made the change? And it seems like they finally made some changes. So C plus. And
Yeah,
that's entirely because of Carl Hart.
maybe I'll put him at a C. I think the KC Keeler's decision. So Brian Ginn is the special teams coordinator. Rick Brown is the guy who's working
Striker.
with the specialists. Yes, so working really specifically with the kickers and the punters. A loss is a loss is a loss, but maybe on a different day that Carl Harden kick goes through. Rick Brown's not out there kicking for the team, and Kyle makes a good point in that. But we never expected Dante Atten to be a guy who was consistently punting 65, 70 yards and getting insane hang time. Sometimes he is still strategically using a rugby style kick, just get the ball downfield and away from a certain returner. But you've had a couple of special teams gaffes. I'd put them at a C, but Carl Harden so far looks the part. We haven't
Bermudez
seen.
looks the part.
Yeah, Bermudez can really now that he now has two long returns that have been called back due to
Right.
penalties. So, but the abilities there, I haven't seen anything like any egregious examples where guys are really just taking the wrong pursuit and trying to tackle. It's okay. Could be better. Like
Yeah, I mean they're 13th in the nation in kickoff return defense. So
yeah.
whether that's because other teams are just deciding to fair catch it or
Mhm.
whatever it might be, the results are that the kickoff unit has been
Yeah.
strong. So
Yeah,
there are
absolutely.
some glimmers of hope.
Yeah. What are we giving the head coach, Casey Keeler?
I think it's like a B plus.
Mhm.
I think just in spite of all the things we just talked about, like, hey, they're struggling to defend the run, the punting's mediocre, they're having strange penalties on special teams. I think Casey Keeler is just exactly what you expect him to be when you hired him, which is there is nothing that he's seeing as a head coach that he hasn't seen before. He knows the formula, how to win. You see that the teams look more prepared than they have in the past. And even just like we talked about this in the top of the hour, top of the show. That game against Georgia Tech, Stan Drayton's team loses 59-3. They would have gone 21-0, and it would have just been, here we go again, same old Temple on the road against an ACC opponent, and they showed more fight and resolve in making that a game. There's a point when they're down, they got within 7, like it was an actual game for the majority of that contest. That would not have happened if Casey Keeler was not here.
Might even let the UMass game go a different way,
Yeah,
depending
maybe.
on like
They probably would have like won, but it would have been like
a
they
lot
would have had to
uglier.
come back. It would have been like that Akron game 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Yeah, they get a turnover, they get a response. I'd give them a B plus too. I don't know that you've really seen any in-game decisions where you're like, what is he thinking there? Again, talk to us in a couple weeks. Every coach is capable of making mistakes, but I agree. I think he has been as advertised. I think a lot of the what you saw, if you're a Temple fan, you saw what you hoped to see in the first two games. They dominated two teams that they should have beaten. Oklahoma, not in the same stratosphere with them, and then Georgia Tech, they fight back, and they're about what we expected so far. And yeah, I'd put them at a B plus too.
Even just like the end of the Georgia Tech game when it's already over, Keeler using his timeouts and running the offense, and let's just actually get down there. And they set up the Giovanni McCoy touchdown to Xavier Irvin. That might have been a situation where in the past, Stan Drayton or Rod Carey might just be like, look, we're down 4 scores. Let's just kneel and get out of here, or get home healthy, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And I think Keeler is aware of what this team needs, and what this team needs is more live action snaps. To exactly that, you might need Giovanni McCoy down the line, and now
Absolutely.
you've just shown that he's able to run an offense against an ACC opponent and score. Like, I don't know. I think you made a good point. There's been no moments where you can say, what are they doing here? Why are they calling a timeout there? What's going on with this clock management? Like, it seems like the things that can be controlled have been controlled.
Yeah, people think we're probably like just scraping for something right now, but you bring up the point where like use his timeouts well, they get them down there and score. You might need Giovanni McCoy for a couple of different reasons. Either one, again, I hope Evan Simon stays healthy for the rest of his life, but what if he gets banged up? What if he gets really banged up and somebody comes in and sacks him and beats Diego Barajas or Jacoby Hills or Kevin Terry, and you need Giovanni McCoy to finish out a game? I mean, Giovanni McCoy probably needed that for Giovanni McCoy. Here's a
Yeah.
guy who had a really good start to a season at Oregon State last year, lost the job, tries Texas State, didn't work out there, comes here, was probably hoping to win the job, didn't win the job. A lot of those moments matter. We are 4 games into a season with 8 to go in conference play. How do we know that 3 weeks from now, Evan Simon won't have starts to the next couple games like he did against Georgia Tech? And not wishing that upon the guy. We've seen him play some good football,
Right.
but probably needed that for the whole team needed that for Giovanni McCoy. So I give him a B plus. So it was a B plus. But overall, some the coaches can feel somewhat proud putting this stuff on the refrigerator. No A's.
Their GPA is probably like a 2.8 right now.
Yeah.
And as somebody that graduated with like a 2.8, like, look, the degree still comes.
I just imagine Casey Keeler with like an old school white refrigerator, not anything that's stainless. I'm a stainless steel guy, but put some magnets up there, put some quizzes up there, some tests. I'm good. That's my Casey
Yeah,
Keeler.
stainless steel is definitely a little too like. He's like, the maintenance. You gotta get that special type of cleaner.
Yeah, give me a
White thing that doesn't show my kids' fingerprints at all. I will say though, as a father of a 5-year-old and 3-year-old, I wish I had that at times. Their fingerprints are everywhere. The worst, I have a white railing, like the stair rail is white,
Oh.
and just them with their little grimy paws. Like once a week, I have to come and just it looks gray. I just have to clean it off because they're just so dirty, little turds.
The kids catching strays again on the pod.
Also, and for those that or I know there's some diehards out there. I am 0-3 in my soccer coaching.
Oh yeah.
So we're coming back. We got another big one this weekend.
Where's your temperament right now?
Frustrated, I'd say. More with myself than with them. They're just children. But we got to put them in a better position to succeed. Unfortunately, it looks like this week's practice might get rained out. And if that's the case, then we're just going right back out there with the same game plan we had the previous week, and we're hoping for a different result.
Do you do like a Ted Lasso party at your house? Are these kids too young for Ted Lasso?
I'm expecting the opposite. I vocalized this to Meg. I am expecting at the end of the year that the other parents come together and get me a nice gift like that. Like I think at the end they're just gonna be like, "Hey, here's a nice single malt. We really appreciate you looking after our kids for the last 3 months." And
As opposed to you bringing like sweet treats to the
as opposed to me being like, I'm throwing a party, a pizza party, and we're gonna learn to come together and we're gonna have a rally moment. I'm expecting us to just continue to grind through the season, and at the end, I get some type of reward.
well, Kyle potluck. But what if the kids do the cooking?
Just a lot of macaroni and cheese and
We
Play-Doh.
made you peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with the crust cut off.
If Jordan could make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with the crust cut off, I would encourage him to do that at all times. He has never cooked anything for himself or made anything for himself.
Do we want to send this week's pot off with a nod to your nephew who's playing some good football?
Yeah, Ryder Harlan starting right end or left end. They kind of move on both sides. The other defensive end is going to Army for Downtown West, so he has a D1 defensive line teammate who he is lining up opposite of. Who, yeah, he had 2 sacks in their win over the Fighting Bond Charlatans, Avon Grove this weekend. Homecomings this weekend against Ruston, which Ruston was not a school when I was there, but it is now.
I was there, yeah.
And I will actually be going. I'm going to make my triumphant return to Kottmeyer Stadium on Friday, and
They don't play any Saturday games, right? They're all Friday night.
they played like game 1 on Saturday. Like the game, like week 1 was the Saturday game. Everything else is Friday. Yeah, they don't do Thursdays. They do Fridays, which are tough for. It's tough for me when there's 2 kids. But now that he's performing well enough to earn my love, I've decided to see him.
What do you do?
I saw him on Sunday, and I just made a lot of comments about his height because he's like he's like the exact same height as me. He's like 5'11" and a half, and I'm just trying to convince him that 1, he's smaller than that, and 2, that he'll never get bigger than that. I'm like, man, it'd be really if only he gets like 6'2", we might have a shot with you, but unfortunately,
you always are in a position where you want to humble him.
yeah, I'm trying to keep him humble.
Yeah,
but I mean, yeah, to his credit, he works hard. He goes about things the right way, and they are on a little bit of a winning streak. And Rustin, I think, is supposed to be good, so we'll see how it goes.
good luck, Ryder.
But he got mentioned. He got his name misspelled in the Daily Local, which I think is a rite of passage for any Chester County athlete. Just like, I performed well enough to make the newspaper. Crap, they misspelled my name.
Copy desk at the Daily Local wasn't what it used to be.
Now, there was probably 3 full-time employees at the Daily Local. like in general.
Nevertheless, support local journalism.
Yeah.
Support Ride Harlan, support Downtown West. All right. Thank you all for the sheer number of mailbag questions this week. We appreciate it. Keep them coming. Thank you to Andy Allison for making some time for an interview this week. Hope you're all doing well. Enjoy the Temple bye week. Enjoy a free Saturday to do whatever it is you're going to do. Maybe you head out to Linville Orchards. Maybe you go up to
Maybe you have a 3 o'clock under 6 soccer game to take up your entire Saturday.
I'm worried about you with the you need
I need
now
to win.
you're like
I need to see the ball go through the hoop.
yeah.
Like I just really do.
If people could see you right now, you're doing that thing where like you're putting your hands on your face and you're like, I don't know.
There was a self goal. Like we scored on our own goal last weekend. There's been some moments. Lost 8-4. Did score 4 goals.
Does the township have it in its budget to bring in Jason Sudeikis?
I'm gonna learn how to do the Jason Sudeikis dance. Have you seen that's been making the algorithm path where it's him doing like the little like arm out like and he's
Is this
doing
all
the
TikTok
Don't
algorithm stuff?
yeah, you got the music and you. He's doing the
Oh, New Radicals? No. Is this all TikTok stuff? Is it just not?
mostly on TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll Meg will show me things on Instagram Reels that are 2 months after I saw them on TikTok.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You're like
Cutting
hey,
edge.
That's so 2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank
So
you all for
2000 and
tuning in.
late.
2000 and late. Black Eyed Peas reference at the end of the pod. All right. Well, thank you everybody for sticking with us for another episode. We will talk to you next week.